Thank you for taking a few minutes to learn about the cybersecurity collectible card game, Cyber Threat Defender, which is designed to teach cybersecurity principles and a wide range of security issues to middle and high school students. The UTSA Center for Infrastructure Assurance and Security has created this game as part of our K-12 cybersecurity program to create a culture of cybersecurity nationwide. With Cyber Threat Defender, a game-based approach to learning is used to help introduce students to the concept of cybersecurity. Now, keep in mind that we're not talking about gamification or gamifying a lesson plan, or even a focus on cyberbullying and other online lessons. This is a true game focused on cybersecurity lessons, but it is designed to be fun first. It's through repetitious play that students begin to discover that for every cyber attack, there's a defense. For every defense, there's an attack to get around it. Now, before jumping into details of the Cyber Threat Defender game, it is important to note this is just one of 3 games in the CIS's Cyber Threat Game series. Each game targets specific grade levels and student abilities, while building upon the knowledge learned in previous games. For example, a student entering middle school who plays Cyber Threat Protector while in 5th grade can take their foundational knowledge of what a network structure is and the cybersecurity principles obtained from playing it and begin to play and learn more detailed insights into cybersecurity defense strategies with Cyber Threat Defender, the collectible card game. The game mechanics and concepts carry through from one game to the next. To illustrate how their knowledge can carry over from one grade or game to the next, here's an example of a desktop computer card, which carries through all 3 games. As you can see, the content and details simply expand through each version of the card, but students will already be familiar with this purpose as they move from one game to the next. Now, we do have quite a few learning outcomes that we expect from students playing the game. The first is that this game is called Cyber Threat Defender. So we do stress defense with the game, not so much hacking and various cyber attacks. This also introduces what a basic network infrastructure looks like by building assets and looking at how those relationships work between a cyber attack and a cyber defense countermeasure. We also do introduce various types of cyber attacks, such as hacking, phishing, denial of service, malware, and data breaches. We also introduce what cyber threats or cyber actors might look like, and cyber defense strategies that can be used to counter those, such as policies and training. We also introduce real-world challenges needed and that your students might face as they enter this as a career when maintaining or protecting a network. And finally, with the various additional cards to the game itself, we use it as an opportunity to introduce cybersecurity facts and various historical information as a learning tool in the classroom. So now you're looking at a standard card in Cyber Threat Defender, which features 5 key areas featured on all cards. We have, of course, the card's name and point value at the very top, followed by a simplistic image of the card being played. Sandwiched in the middle of the card is the card type. This is a critical part of the card when looking at the relationships between asset card, for example, and specific defense or attack cards. For instance, an attack card may state that it can remove an asset system card, like you see. But there are different types of asset cards. If this were, let's say, an asset wireless network card, then that attack card would not be able to remove it from the game. The bottom half of the card features 2 description areas. The top description or paragraph provides a brief definition of what that asset, defense, attack, or event card might be in the real world. This is a great teaching tool for use in the classroom. Now, the second paragraph is key to how to play the card in the game. The second paragraph features the card effect instructions. In other words, it explains how to use the card in the game, which cards it can play against or defend from cyber threats. Remember to pay close attention to that second paragraph when playing or teaching the game in the classroom. In regards to the 4 card types, players can only gain points to win the game by building up their network of assets. These assets are the blue cards. Once played, an asset card will remain on the playfield unless they're removed by an opponent's card. Defense cards are the green cards that defend your network from attacks. Your defenses will block or defend against certain attack cards from being played by your opponent and will remove those attack cards that your opponent has on the field. Defense cards remain on the playfield unless removed by your opponent's attack cards. Now, attack cards are the red cards that affect your opponent's network. Attack cards remove a point, which are the asset cards, from your opponent each round and stay on the playfield unless removed by defense or noted on the card. Attack cards can also remove some defense cards, which mean the assets cards will then become vulnerable to an attack. And finally, our fourth card is the gold event card. These event cards have special abilities that can either help or hinder your network. Carefully played, these event cards can lead to a winning strategy. Now, here's an example of how the cards interact with one another and their specific relationships. If I have a laptop computer card in play on the left of your screen, then I need a wireless router for it to work. Only once the router is on the board can I gain points using my laptop, which is all explained on the card. After all, a laptop needs an internet connection to work in the real world. Now, assuming those two cards on my playfield, I'll want to defend it against any potential cyber threat. So I'll want to play an encryption defense card, it's that green card. If you can read the card's description, the second paragraph of the green encryption card states it should select a wireless router to play it. I can only play an encryption card if I have that router already in use. If I don't have that encryption card defending my router, then my opponent can place the red wireless sniffing card. That card states that my opponent can select a wireless router card and remove it. But, and this is key, it can only remove my router and therefore my points if it's not being defended by the encryption card. So now you can start to see the relationships directly between certain assets, defenses, and attacks. Again, that repetitious play action. In addition to the starter deck cards we have briefly reviewed, you have the option of adding booster packs or additional cards to the base deck. Booster packs are designed to extend Cyber Threat Defender's gameplay and increase the game's overall difficulty levels and strategies. The booster packs also provide educators with additional opportunities to introduce new cybersecurity concepts and topics into the classroom. For instance, on your screen is the Personnel Booster Pack. This introduces players to career opportunities and how those positions can be a real asset in supporting and defending an organization's cybersecurity posture. Booster packs are also a great way for businesses to introduce their services and capabilities to the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. When an organization decides to sponsor a booster pack, they can work with our game developers to design and incorporate one customized playable card for inclusion in their booster pack. For a full list of available booster packs and how this works, please go to our website, cyberthreatdefender.com. To play a game, players will need to place one desktop computer card and one ISP connection card onto their playfield. After those two cards are placed on the field, players will shuffle their decks and deal themselves 7 cards. The remaining cards are placed face down in the draw pile. On your screen is a sample layout of the game for a single player using the game mat. You don't need to use a game mat to play, but this still provides a visual over how we recommend the game be displayed. And we don't have time to go into the full game rules here, but as you move through a game, make sure that players are keeping score after each round. Remember, players are rewarded for building up their network, and the first player to earn 30 points wins. You can find rule books, PowerPoints, and videos on how to play also on our website at cyberthreatdefender.com. Now, we also have an electronic version of Cyber Threat Defender that is also free to download to your desktop. The game format is the same as the physical card game and allows players to continue playing as well as learning outside the classroom. This is a great companion piece to the tabletop card game and provides players with the option to choose various difficulty levels when playing against the computer's AI. And while players currently are only able to play against the computer, we are working to develop a true online multiplayer version where players can compete against other players, but that's coming soon. Now, we are always getting fantastic feedback from educators nationwide about how the game is impacting their students. They can play it in the classroom, after school clubs, etc. But here's just a couple quotes we've received. One is from a cyber camp instructor saying that Cyber Threat Defender has given his students a real world application of concepts that they're learning while in class. Another has stated how the game has helped teach future professionals attack and counterattack concepts in a highly interactive game environment. And these are very common and similar type of testimonials that we always receive. So hopefully you'll get the same. Now, there are other ways to use the game outside the classroom. We have had success here in San Antonio, where we are based at UTSA, at having city-wide tournaments. We also work with other schools and districts to put on their own district-wide or classroom against classroom tournaments. So however you might decide to use this, if you choose to do so, and we're happy to walk you through what this might look like. But we have hosted a couple, again, city-wide tournaments in San Antonio, 2018 and 29. Had to put them on hold, unfortunately, due to COVID, but we're looking to put another one on again here this summer. But when we did these first two initial tournaments, we made it available to anyone in the community over the age of 9. While it is targeting grade students in ages 11, 12 up, we have had some younger players who play with their older siblings who are well-versed and knew how to play. So we have lowered that ability for younger players to engage in the tournament with the confirmation from a parent or guardian that they are aware of how to play the game. These tournaments, again, include middle school, high school students, college kids, parents, and teachers, getting the whole family and community involved together. So everyone's learning about cybersecurity. And what's really fun is on your screen, you'll see a young gentleman in the middle. He won both tournaments, age 11 and then 12, at first place. And then at the second tournament, he had his sister play second, another middle school student, she placed third. But it's a great way, again, to get that cross interaction between students and families and the community at large. And when we do this, we do provide starter decks, a Cyber Threat Defender, and game mats that the players can go home with as part of our process. It's up to you how you might want to do it. But again, any questions or interest in doing your own tournament, please let us know. However, if you want to use it in the classroom, we do have teachers use it in a variety of ways. We don't provide curriculum around our game. However, we do provide it as a complementary resource to your classroom activities. Some teachers don't have curriculum, some do. Those who have curriculum have used it in ways where they might introduce a single card as a teaching point that week, or they focus on just asset cards over 1 month. And then the next month, they focus on defense cards, next month event, and then so on. Others have used it to have students actually create their own playable card as a classroom activity, which means the student has to really be well-versed in the card games, mechanics, the types of attacks and defenses and assets already there, and how they work with each other. So it's really cool to see how they do that. Others make it as an extra activity. If there's extra time in class, that free time can be used to play a game. Games can be done in as little as 20 minutes. Some can be in 5 or 10, depending on how quick the game goes. So it could vary. Other students ask to play it during their lunch. And others, particularly coaches and mentors outside the classroom, might make it as a activity within their after-school clubs or programs. So it's up to you. Any questions, feel free to bounce ideas off of us. And we're happy to walk you through what may or may not work. So we always get asked this is how do we support the program? Well, as a nonprofit, the CIS at UTSA does rely on grants, sponsorships, and gifts to produce and distribute complimentary classroom boxes to educators nationwide at no cost to the teacher. Each classroom box is available upon request and includes 25 starter decks. So one deck per student and one for the teacher. For additional training resources on how to play Cyber Threat Defender, from rule books to videos, please go to our website, cyberthreatdefender.com. If you'd like to request a classroom box or purchase your own personal copies of the game, you can go to our online store at ciasmarketplace.com. And of course, please email us with any questions. Thank you for your time.